Free association, as Biggish Worm titled that piece. Here's one of the Universal Cree philosophers writing. I asked them to give their own definition of native. My working definition of native. In my eyes, being native is awesome because my parents taught me the language and some cultural stuff before they passed on. I miss them lots because I barely hear our language anymore. And another universal Cree philosopher, their stream of consciousness. In my opinion, this thing doesn't really make sense. The paragraphs are everywhere on different topics. I think it needs more detail in the paragraphs, especially about racism. I should mention, Biggish Worm, that I invite them to write uncensored, unedited, and unplugged. So, and the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay. My working definition of racism is based on the belief that one's own race is superior and believe that their race is higher in power. My working definition of authentic, I asked them to do that as well. Really genuine, not being false. My working definition of spirit, it is something we need to keep us on our toes. And what did they name this? My unfinished story. Why? It's no matter how many times I've read it through, the meaning to me is a bit tough to understand. Hence, my unfinished song. And here's another Universal Cree philosopher. Same text. One word, misunderstanding. One sentence. The sense that the person writing this holds on to the past. One paragraph. They assume that they know what the other person is thinking, but not everybody thinks this way. So it is not white persons in general, but maybe past experience with certain people. There is segregation, not only by the other people, but also this person creates it too. Streams of consciousness. Natives can be racist too, but maybe it is taught. Or maybe they learned from other cultures or other nationalities. When this says natives, I did not once think of prostitutes. I don't know any prostitutes. So maybe that line should change to something else, more common, like reservation or dark skin or strong bone structure. These are common thoughts that I deal with, and because I don't have these, people assume I'm not native, or that I'm Filipino, or East Indian, or South Asian. My working definition of authentic. One of a kind, unique, true to oneself, real, true, pure, individual, being myself and allowing others to be themselves. Priceless, rare, valuable. My working definition of spirit, subconscious or conscious, a part of the universe and more than just a physical presence. Spirit, ghost, what's in you? Deep self-love. I name this sure ? It leaves a question mark, like, are they sure? Or are they unsure? Is it sarcastic? It makes sure sound so unsure to me. Like, I guess.
Oh, those are great responses. I love it. That is just great. Yeah, sarcasm, fully intended. I was having a sarcastic moment because sometimes you think about the ridiculous things people say, and I I love that someone said, but it sounds like you hold on to the past. Well, yeah, that's what that poem is about. It's about all those little ticks that you keep in your mind, right? About dumbass things that people say, right? Things, and it's just, I was just writing them down going, let's free associate. And I love that it didn't make sense, because it doesn't, right? And that's what free association is. Your mind just kind of goes to here, to there, to something. And I was trying to create that feeling of just random connections between things to reflect the experience I have often had. And each of those paragraphs, each of those little verses, that's something that it specifically happened, right? The first one, racism, and you say black and white. It was based on a couple of things. One being in high school, in a community, a high school of like 100 people. And there's a reserve community and a Métis community right beside there too. But by the time I'm in high school, all the brown folks are gone. You know, in those days, we didn't make it past junior high. My sister was the first Aboriginal person to graduate from our high school, right? And I was, I think, second, because my brother didn't make it. And so one of the little gals that I wanted to be friends with, because she was semi-cool, says to me one day, I wish we had a black principal, because then we could show everyone that we're not prejudiced. I just kind of walked away. I'm like, what? And that little moment of cognitive dissonance just has carried me a long way. I'm like, wow, on so many levels, huh? And then years later, I did, as an adult, a panel on racism for Access TV. And I was pregnant at the time. And so, okay, I've got to tell you this, just because I see this little person, I'm like, okay, so this happened, I'm like 6 or 7 months pregnant. I'm thinking I'm really sharp and on top of it. And I get up in the morning, I'm like, today I have nothing to do. Home alone, I've got no work to do. I'm just going to relax. I'm just going to sit down here and write. And the phone rings, and it's my colleague who got me the gig going, are you okay? Oh, yeah, fine. We're all worried you've been in an accident or something. Okay, why? Yeah. And then she realizes, and I realized at the same time, I was supposed to be across town half an hour ago at this television studio. Pregnant brain. She's like, okay, I got it. Because she's a grandma, she's like, yeah, okay. I'll explain, don't you worry, get in the cab. So I argued with the cab driver on the way there, because I got rattled in my pregnant brain. I was like, you're going the wrong way. I'm going west. You're going the wrong way. He's looking at me like, lady, relax. And of course he was going the right way. But I get there, and I'm aware that I'm a little bit tetchy, and I'm trying to calm myself down. And it didn't help that the first thing that someone was reading is a great poem by Youth on Racism, was about black people and white people. I'm like, this is Canada. This is Edmonton. The people can't walk down the street without getting harassed here. That's the racism we should be talking about here. Why is this person, and they're overtly placing their poem in Chicago, right? They're writing this great rant against racism in Chicago, blacks and whites. I'm like, come home. Come home, hello. Let's not give the award to this one. It might be a nice poem, but come on, bring it home. And most of the people around the table were looking at me like, what are you talking about? I was like, okay, I know this isn't the pregnant brain. This is the teachable moment. So that's the first one. And the other ones just follow from there. Like, just so many people who have made those kind of free associations. Each of those words, I've had people actually go, oh, you're Native? Isn't it a pity about the prostitutes? Literally, the next sentence, and I'm looking at them again going, What? You know, because that's the image they had, right? The only ones that they knew were Native were prostitutes. I'm like, oh, okay, that's sure, whatever. And the sure at the end is sure, whatever. I do believe in God, because at least I am spared those people who are after who are the eagle feather chasers or whatever. Like, they kind of come after the people and, oh, you look so authentic, let me pet your hair. Those kind of people, right? And I've sort of sidled away from them while they were petting the guy beside me. I was like, okay, I'll just walk away now. See you later, Travis. Good luck. So anyway, it's a very sarcastic poem, and I'm glad to have learned from it about, I gotta let those things go now, really, whatever.
Well, here's another universal Cree philosopher on the same text. One word, racism. One sentence, not good enough on the inside. One paragraph, two men. One's a white man. The writer is a Métis who looks like a white man and is talking with the white man. Stream of consciousness. I imagine a Métis man having a conversation with a white man, non-native. The Métis man knows that the white man thinks he is white too. So the white man speaks to the Métis man as if he is white. And the conversation is going on as if there were no natives in the room. The Métis man agrees with the white man because he wants him to keep thinking what he thinks he is. So the Métis won't be bothered the way the white man may bother a native. I think the white man might be a cop looking for a native medicine man to put in jail. My working definition of racism, not having respect for other races but your own. My working definition of native, someone whose race originates from a place. I am native to Turtle Island. My working definition of authentic, original, first of its kind. My working definition of spirit. A spirit is the part of a being that can't be seen. It is the part that makes us all different in every way, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. We use our spirits to communicate to a higher power.
We sure do. That's beautiful. I really love that. I love that I'm a Métis man. Once upon a time, okay, I'll tell another, this is a really bad story. Yeah, I'll tell it anyway. This is not really where I was going to go with this story, but one time, because a girlfriend and I were watching Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. You guys seen that movie? And we're like, okay, so there's that one, there's that Tu Wong Fu. How come they got like RuPaul? There's all these drag queens. How come there's not like drag kings? What's up with that? How come men get all the fun? And we were going to a tea party with some girls that we knew, and we thought, let's do it. So we made ourselves some fake equipment out of old pantyhose, stuffed with socks. And we put it in our pants, and we were practice walking like men. And we were cracking ourselves up going, will they realize what we're doing? And we're just doing it for a joke because we just watched this movie. Well, we ended up offending some friends of ours who weren't there, who happened to be lesbians, who happened to know about there actually is a history of drag kings. Now, no one at that party knew anything about it. We're all just a bunch of straight gals hanging out, talking about guys, and me and Cheryl were like, yeah. And we're just cracking up, trying to see if they're going to notice what's different. But then when we told them what we were doing because we were cracking ourselves up too much, and they're like, oh, that's just sick, eh? And they told our friends, and our friends got mad at me. They're like, well, how come you did that? You don't know this. And I didn't. I said, well, teach me. There is actually, there is a history of women going in disguise as men, and during the 40s in the States, there's all these drag kings. So I guess it is where I meant to go with this, because it makes me think we all have these assumptions we make about people. We think we know. And we don't know. We can give offense in so many ways, and it comes back to that, well, how much can you be responsible for that? We didn't mean any disrespect to any history. We were just being silly, But then how many people wear a Pocahontas costume for Halloween? They go, I'm just being silly. I don't mean any disrespect. And it's a balancing act. How do you know what's the right thing to do? My late sister went to South Africa. She had a great time there because they love natives. They took them out to dinner at this native-themed restaurant. She brought home a leather placemat with a chief's head on it. And they're so down with native Canadians, like, wow. So if we come to Canada, can you introduce us to a shaman, can you? And they're like, how do you like South Africa? We're sorry about, all the blacks, they're kind of, it's too bad about the blacks. This is the white people are talking to them like, yeah, okay. Yeah, you come on over anytime, right? That's okay, thanks. And it's not about, so much is about context, So much is about context. I'm gonna, I talked to my Korean friend who's like, yeah, anyone but those black men, those bastards, they're all misogynists. I'm like, oh, Okay, wait a minute. We all got our assumptions. And me going around, like, I got into trouble at the university one time, a long time ago. It's back to South Africa. The South African ambassador was coming over to our university. The Grad Students Association at that time said, we're not going to let him speak because it's an apartheid regime. And all the black students were going, yeah, this is important. And they're trying to rally me. They don't know me. They just come up to me in the hall, rally to our cause. And I'm like, I don't know. I'll go see what's happening. So I went to see what's happening. And what I saw was a whole bunch of black students lined up to speak. A whole bunch of an audience, mostly white people, and this little white girl in a green coat running up and down the line, telling them who was going to speak in what order. And I went, this is weird. And everyone's all full of this, we're going to fix South Africa. And I just can't resist. And I got in the line, I got up there. Hello, I'm a racist. Well, I thought they were going to hang me. Honestly, I just thought to see what happens. And boy, they just like boiled up like bees. They were really mad because they thought I was white. And they're shouting, boo, yes, get off the stage, boo, rah, 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 we're going to get you. I'm like, but wait for it. I'm racist because, look at me. But when I look at white people, because I'm of Aboriginal heritage, sometimes I don't like them just because they're white. Sometimes I assume they're the enemy. I'm walking around this university all the time with my scouting eyes on when I see a white person. And you don't know that just looking at me because you can't tell. It was hard for them to hear that because they were still busy trying to go, ah! It worked out in the long run, but for a moment there I thought, you've got to pick your moment. You really got to pick your moments. I felt happy I had a couple of tall guys in the back who knew me. I'm like, okay, cover this because I might need help getting out alive.
You lead an amazing life, biggish worm.
It's silly. No, just the rest of that story. So a couple of weeks later, my sister and her fiance are over, right? And we're having coffee, and there's a knock at the door. And her fiance, he's a Métis guy too, and he looks up and he goes, oh, they're coming! And there's a black face at the door. It's our mailman with a package, right? I'm like, shut up, it's Charles, he's the mailman.
Well, here's the same text, but another universal Cree philosopher. One word, stereotype. One sentence. Now, who is authentic or inauthentic? One paragraph. This is not a dialogue. When expectations cloud vision of true reality, then there can be no honesty of dialogue. Stream of consciousness. This is all too often the dialogue mainstream and media views of Indigenous people. Not fancy enough, not wearing beads and feathers, must not be authentic Indians, right? This, or at the mention of the word native, they instantly have a preconceived idea of poverty, of violence, of roadblocks. When others filter their view of us through stereotypes or preconceived ideas, sometimes and mostly false, they fail to see us as equal, let alone human. There can be no dialogue. Why should we surrender our most truthly truths? Our sacred of sacreds? Quote, sure, I believe in God, is sometimes the answer, but more often we share freely who we really are and hope one day you will stop filtering. My working definition of racism is a taught behavior perpetuated by adults upon children. It is taught by media and imposed by the government. It means to hate or hold in ill regard a person or group of people of an ethnicity other than one's own. People don't want to be racist, they are taught to be. It is an ugly beast that can only be killed with kindness. My working definition of native is, native means indigenous, occurring naturally in an environment. It means to be part of an ecosystem and is characterized by language, custom, and philosophy. Insert my picture here. They know who they are, so it's up to them. My working definition of authentic, having characteristics true to the self, group, or community of origin. Speaking, acting out of truth, not fake. My definition of spirit is a spirit. Everything has a spirit. Animals, plants, rocks, rivers, volcanoes, tornadoes. Spirit is the force and essence of things. Spirit is immortal and eternal. Spirit is not bound to any one plane of existence. Insert my photo here. I name this authenticity and stereotypes in interracial dialogue.
Yeah. I don't know what to say to that. I got nothing. No, let's keep going. Who's got something?
Please, folks. Oh, you raised your hand. Thank you.
Oh, well, that was mine. I hope you recognize from the picture that that was me. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you for just saying yes. Like, I mean, if there's no, there's no rebuttal or there's no anything, and if you're saying yes, that means I got your poem, right? So it's good, and I guess that it was written in a way that I could understand it. So thank you, and it's nice to have poetry that reflects who you are and can kind of you can hold up this mirror and go, hey man, some smart person thinks the way I think, so that must make me smart, right? Oh, thanks.
Cool, now I feel real smart. But that's it, isn't it? I mean, and that's why we write too. That's why to be a writer is to put something out there and go, okay, I'm hunting for other people, and they're gonna agree with me, and that'll make me feel like, they're real smart, I must be smart. And if they disagree with me, then they're gonna teach me something. They're gonna teach me something that I didn't know, and it'll be something I'm ready to learn. And that's what I hope anyway. And it always comes back to any work, right? You're putting something out there in the world, and you hope it's useful to people. You hope they're gonna like your concept and buy into it, whatever it is, and say, yeah, that's something that really is useful. I was waiting all my life for a Bannock-shaped fridge magnet, all right, or whatever the product is. Hey, there's a good idea. Or you hope you're producing something useful. I got this great movie idea. I was just waiting for a couple people to come back. This is my great movie idea. Tarzan's Godzilla. Okay, can you picture it? You see the whole story? He rises up out of the tar sands and he comes stomping down Highway 63 and he's taking out facilities, eating whole busloads of workers on the way. He's got a pickup kind of stuck from one, on his little spikes and everything. Tarzan's Godzilla, right? I'm gonna write the movie.
Other questions, comments, observations? We are moving towards the end of this kind of collective conversation, so I encourage you to make the most.
When I was trying to envision who the writer was, I honest to God did not envision you. When I seen you walk in, I thought you were white too. Not gonna lie, I did. And when I envisioned the writer, I envisioned a native, looking like a native woman who had like I just didn't envision you. And to have you come here, and that's why I probably didn't understand your point of view, because I didn't look at it from your interpretation or your perspective. I was looking at it more from mine, I guess. Maybe that's why I didn't understand it.
I think you did understand part of it. I think that's great to look at it from your perspective. Is what else perspective do you have, right? You have to bring your own view to what you're doing. That's cool. That's great.
But it also makes me understand my little brother more now because my little brother is native. He acts native and everything, but he's white. He has orange hair, freckles, white skin. He looks more Caucasian than some of my teachers who are all like pure white. My little brother looks like he's this white. So maybe I can understand what he's coming from now, because I told him to before in school that he had like best of both worlds. He could fit into like the white society, and he also could try and fit into the native society too, with his spiritual beliefs and everything. Yeah.
Do you want to respond, Biggest one?
I totally get that. I'm actually working on a book right now. I'm working on a book of poetry, but I'm also working on a book of memoirs, and I'm calling it Walking Beige. And it's about being a stealth Indian, being a Métis person, being a status Indian who's also half Polish. And if you count by the Anishinaabe way, I'm Polish because we're matrilineal. And just the fun things you discover when you move in one world or another, and you get people say the darndest things and do the darndest things, and I'm those people sometimes too. I go, what? Check that. What did I just say? What did I just do? What assumption did I just make there? And what a gift it is to have that. But I didn't always think it was a gift. You know, sometimes you just don't think it's such a gift. And I remember I went to BC to a place called Inauken, which is a native art center. And I went there thinking, I'm coming home. I'll be working with Aboriginal artists. They'll get me. I'll fit in. The first week I was there, they're holding a sweat lodge. And one of the administrators sees fit to say, and I just want to tell everyone there'll be no white people at this. And I went, hands up, I'm not coming either, because if you're going to say you're having a prayer where my mom and my grandma wouldn't be welcome, not coming. Because that's just, I didn't come here for that, thank you. And I spent 2 years, to my surprise, going, I'm half Polish, go ahead, knock it off. Knock the chip right off there, I've got that one too. And then, oh, this one's yours. Oh, this was mine, they're from everywhere. This is amazing, what do we got here?
They're going into business as making smoothies.
No, I have to ask because I'm allergic to milk. It's lactate? That doesn't work on me. I like any dairy at all, because it's the protein too, like the casein, it'll... I would love to drink this, but it will do bad things to me. Okay, thank you. But thank you, it looks amazing, it smells great. Wow, I'm sorry I can't eat it. Drink it, enjoy it. Anyway, I spent 2 years doing that and feeling like, I don't know why I've got to represent for the white people, but I guess I got to. Okay, that's my job, I'll do it. And I was never so proud of myself. I was all huffity-puffity up. One day in a class, a bunch of us sat there, and the rest of the class, who all looked more native than me, all started outing their white sides. Like they kind of rolled out the white guy in their closet, right? Oh, actually, my grandfather's Swedish. Oh, actually, I'm this and that and yeah. And I'm sitting there going, my work here is done. All right. I've helped them. I've helped the people. And my little sister, who's blonde, right? She's blonde. She comes to visit me, and she happened to be there that day. I come home like, my work here's done. This is what happened today after 2 years. And she's like, man, those people are way braver than you. What you got? Come on. It's easy for you to acknowledge your whiteness. Look at you. Look at me. We can't pretend we're not. They could pretend that they're not. So therefore, they're braver to admit it. Come on, we could have pretended we were white all this time and not said we were native. And so the white, I'm like, oh yeah, that idea, right, this doesn't quite compare to having to go around and say, no, I am native, thank you very much. And she just kind of laughed at me, she's like, oh, quit being so be-puffed.
Questions, comments? Buffalo Thunder. We see you here, you laugh, but why don't you make the most of the moment? We're running out of time. Okay, TML? I'm sorry, I got so much stuff on my lap here.
How many books did you write?
Oh, how many books did I write? Does that mean that are published or just in my head? There's Tarzan's Godzilla. There's a whole movie and a book. There's a whole franchise behind. I just have the one book of poetry. A number of years ago, I wrote a book about food. about where food comes from, about the food industry. I wrote it on a commission from the Federation of Labor, and so it was more of an instructional book talking about that. So that's the other book I've written, and been in about 1 billion anthologies as a contributor and sometimes as an editor. And that's my storied past as not a very many books person yet. Wait, were we going to you?